flag is up, and it's good.
You're listening to The Extra Point, hosted by Phil Ruskin. Welcome.
Yo, welcome to another episode of The Extra Point. It's your boy, Phil Ruskin, hanging out with you here on a Wednesday night. As always, my guy Kendall here with me as well. Kendall, what up, my dude?
Yo, man. Playoffs are here, man.
Playoffs
excited to,
are here.
At least in Dynasty, bad, because redraft could have gone better for me. I fell into the Genty trap in a few spots for fun, and then other spots were the BTJ thing, and a way too much round 6 Travis Hunter, which is just not fun. So glad it's a Dynasty show. We can get to the good stuff, because that's where I'm in the playoffs. That's
all the good stuff. You got to bear with me here. I've got a camera issue. Give me 30 seconds. Not the best thing, but give me 10 seconds. Be right back.
You are all good, man. I'll drink some wine and enjoy the fellas here. Bryce, I see you in chat, by the way. Appreciate that. We're gonna get to questions as usual after kind of towards the end of the show. But if something's urgent, super chats should be on. If not, I'll get them on pretty shortly. But appreciate you hanging on with us. Let's talk some Dynasty.
There we go. Sorry, that was weird, but back again. Production value. Hey, sometimes it's just there, sometimes it isn't. So, dude, it's playoffs. It's week 15. I've not watched this week's Hard Knocks. I'll get to it. But it's always that kind of fun time of the year when you're watching Hard Knocks, which of course is the beginning of the season. And then you get the in-season Hard Knocks and you're like, oh man, that means it's like fantasy playoff time. So for those of you that have made the playoffs, congratulations. For those of you that missed out, hopefully you had an atrocious season and you are the 101. That's as much as we can say. So if you are in the middle, no worries. Kendall and I will have probably after the Super Bowl, we will have a ton of shows getting you ready for the rookie draft, what to do, buy low, sell high, what's going on with all of the rookies that we know about, the ones that we're going to obviously see some risers as we get closer to the actual draft in the spring. But also, what do you need to do to rebuild? What if your team, Kendall, I know you and I were just talking backstage, like I am in the playoffs in almost every single league that I'm in, and the two that I am not in, one of them, I have the 103. The other one, I am dead smack in the middle. Like I barely missed the playoffs. I have the 105, maybe the 106 in a 12-team league. So not a great place to be, but that's the way it goes sometimes. So let's start at the top with our poster boy. I want to talk about Michael Wilson. It's been good, like really good. And to the tune of, I think, obviously put him on the poster this week, but I think you can absolutely start him. My question to you is there anybody that you are thinking about as a fringe player that you might play over Michael Wilson? 26 points, 16 points, 5 points against Tampa, tough day, 31 points against the Rams, 2 touchdowns last week and 142 yards. In the last 4 weeks, minus the Tampa game, he has cleared 100 yards, and the targets are all in excess of 15 targets. Houston this week, so it's a tough matchup. Obviously, Houston, the number 1 defense in the league, but Atlanta and Cincinnati in week 16 and 17. So if you survive week 15, you've got a nice playoff schedule for the rest of the way with Michael Wilson. I'll just tell you, and I answer my own question, I'm starting him. 1, out of necessity. 2, I'm going to ride the hot hand. Are you riding with me on that, or are you looking maybe to pivot into a different wide receiver in a third wide receiver spot, or possibly in a flex?
I'm going to stay in the flames, but I'm going to do you one better, actually. I'm going to notch it up and say I'm permanently, I'm very happy to admit where I'm wrong, but I think the better thing to do is, where were you wrong process-wise? Did you get one take wrong that slid you into another take, right? Because a lot of dynasty takes build on each other, and you have to decide what starts the program and what modifies it, right? For me, I underestimated just how much of an upgrade literally any quarterback is from Kyler. And look, there's just a thing. There's also like every year, even though I feel like last year and the year before, I was a very good dynasty player, very good fantasy football player, right? But I feel like every year you can get a little bit sharper on what ultimately makes the call, right?
Yep.
And for me, it was just how do good wide receiver twos function with someone that's short like Kyler? How does the offense function and play calling and that sort of thing? And Michael Wilson was a second round NFL pick. So talent was there, right? There's all sorts of day 3 guys that don't make it. He was actually kind of an earlier draft pick. So teams believed in him from the talent, right? If it wasn't there, he would have gone somewhere else. He wasn't like a super reach. No one traded for him. It's just where he was going. We've seen ceiling from him, right? Sometimes players aren't good enough to have more than maybe one great game in their life, right? True one-hit wonder. He's had multiple, right? The NFL, even the worst defense in the NFL, is really tough for a non-producer to really beat more than once, right? It's just difficult. Seeing what he's doing with a great backup, but nonetheless, someone that's had plenty of chances to be a starter is not quite there, turns into a pumpkin at some point. I'm permanently in the flames with him just for his dynasty value. As long as Kyler doesn't come back and play football for that team, I'm going to find him as a good flex, probably just in dynasty. And I think rest of the season, he is a strong flex. I'm actively looking to get him in lineups, not out of them.
Yeah, I don't see a world where Kyler comes back. I also just don't know who's going to take on that contract. What I'll say is this. Someone's going to take him. There's too many NFL teams that are quarterback hungry that won't be high enough in the draft to grab a rookie, that someone will take Kyler. My guess says that the Cardinals will eat part of that contract in order to make it attractive. You're not going to get, a Russell Wilson where you're going to get a a league minimum, with Kyler. Like, that's not going to happen. But I have to look at the dead cap. I think they can cut him. I just don't see a world where he's a Cardinal next year. But I'm with you on Michael Wilson for the remainder of this season. Like I said, I'm starting him. So I like where he's at. And I certainly think that he is not just flex worthy, but I think he can be locked into one of your wide receiver spots. And then if you've got someone we'll talk about later, maybe Marion Hampton, who's coming back, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. Maybe that's somebody that you could flex when you put Wilson into the receiver role. So let's switch gears real quick to the running back position. It has been a resurgence for Chase Brown. It has been, I won't say great, but it's been usable, and it's been much, much better the last 6 weeks since week 8. Everybody does well against the Jets. Chicago, he had a decent game, the bye week, and then 4 weeks here. Baltimore this week, the defense doesn't scare you. Miami next week, the defense doesn't scare you. Arizona, the defense doesn't scare you. I think Chase Brown is a fantastic start as an RB2 with touchdown upside, and Burrow's getting healthier. They're probably looking like to be without T. Higgins again this week, which I think soaks up at least a couple more targets and some catches. He had a touchdown through the air last week. So are you confident? And that's the question I want you to answer is, are you confident that Chase Brown continues to deliver RB2 fringe RB1 numbers? Because we know at the beginning of the season, it was rough.
Yeah. I think fringe RB1 is closer to it. He's definitely the upper half of RBs. The real thing is, if T was there, maybe we could have a conversation. The way he produced was pretty disappointing. I don't like when my running back value is about 50% touchdowns.
Yeah.
I don't love it when they're out-snapped, out-touched at the actual running back position, and they've got to make it up on high leverage touches. Now, you're going to have a lot of those in a Joe Burrow offense. So what I'm looking for is, when T leaves the field, what's the history there? And with Burrow, the history is like 6-7 targets, like minimum. Yeah. He's full Christian McCaffrey when that happens. So whenever T's out of the lineup, he's basically a low-end RB1 for me in these situations. He's what we want Brees to be, but it just can't be all the time, right? What Gibbs honestly has kind of been a little bit for the Lions some games where his rushing stats are awful, but he's got 7 for 70 like he did the other day. So yeah, very confident.
Yeah, agreed. I think if you look at what Chase Brown has done the last couple of weeks, you just nailed it. 8 targets, 4 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets. The production hasn't really been there to averaging, 20 to 30 yards. So it's not great, but the rushing has been much better. Obviously, last week the rushing wasn't solid, but he gave you the 2 touchdowns, so he turned in a solid day, even though he only had 35 total yards. But I like this divisional matchup this week against Baltimore. I, like you, am hoping and praying that this is a shootout and not your AFC North cold weather December slog fest that we know we can get with some of these games. But here's what gives me hope. Both defenses are bad and both offenses can score. And here's the other piece. Both teams have to win, because I think the winner of this gets potentially, depending on who wins, keeps their season alive for the wild card. I think the loser's probably out. So hopefully that means points. But there is a team who will be in the playoffs and looking seemingly like they are going to win their division. We will see what happens in a head-to-head matchup with Buffalo. The New England Patriots looking solid, and Stephon Diggs. And I think this is where I want to kind of start the show here with Kendall. You and I were talking about backstage to these ambiguous players, right? You're starting McCaffrey. You're starting Josh Allen. You're starting, well, maybe not Justin Jefferson, but no, I'm kidding. You're starting Jamar Chase. But I think where we want to try to give fantasy managers, dynasty managers especially, this edge. We've talked about Diggs a couple times over the last couple of weeks. We've talked about him as a buy. We've talked about what his production is, but it's been pretty inconsistent and pretty poor the last couple of weeks, coming off of a bye, though, at home against Buffalo, at Baltimore, and then at the Jets. What's your outlook on Stephon Diggs heading into the playoffs?
Capped ceiling and a good offense. I don't expect a massive game, because I don't expect a massive game for basically any of their receivers. We keep thinking Kayshon, Boutte is startable when it's just all touchdown production, right? Like, he just doesn't get enough targets. Hunter Henry seems to be the most reliable. Like, Diggs is reliable, but reliable in like steady doses. Right. I think he's missing a step. The one thing I'll say is Stephon Diggs is a player that plays to the moment, but this is a fantasy football moment, not an NFL moment. Like, they're all gears up, but they're not exactly like a loss away from anything. I don't think Diggs feels the lights on him, ready to go. He's prepping for, like, they're definitely making the playoffs. If anything, Diggs should be chilling. He's not trying to get injured before he goes on ring chasing later on this year, right? So I don't think he's going to suddenly work harder. I don't think they're suddenly going to work on their passing attack. If anything, I think they're probably going to lean into their run game that's healthy. So I'm not looking to not play him, but there are flexes that if I'm looking at, it's the playoffs, right? So we're looking at pretty strong teams. If you're a low seed and you drew a pretty aggressive matchup, I don't know that I like his upside enough, and I might play the matchup game or the hot hand game with another guy. There's some people I think will probably bring up at least at some point that I would start over him. So he's flex worthy. He's not our wide receiver too.
Yeah, so it's funny because we started the show talking about him, and I'm going to bring the name up right now. I would play Michael Wilson over Stephon Diggs, and I wouldn't even think
that's not even close.
I wouldn't even think twice about it. Exactly. It's not
like
close.
Different tiers for me.
Yeah. And so I think when you look at guys that are kind of in that Diggs range, like, would you play Quentin Johnston with the offensive line, with Hampton coming back? It's been okay, but no Chargers receivers really getting the volume. Would you play Huge or Stephon Diggs if you were in that situation? And that was your roster, because that's probably some guys' rosters.
At this point, no, I'm going to go with Diggs. Okay. I liked Huge more when Hampton was out and the touchdowns had to go elsewhere. Like, I think Vidal did amazing with what he did. There are many worlds, alternate realities, where Vidal was 10% worse, and everything has to go to the wide receiver. Now, even guys like I keep looking at like Jack Besh the other day. You know what I'm talking about. Their rookie wide receiver who I just can't think of right now. He's getting involved a little bit. Keenan might suddenly do something. I have a problem that Huge is still very touchdown heavy. Got about a 4 or 5 week window of goose production, near goose production. A touchdown on 3 targets, which basically for me I have to look at that as a bad game.
Yeah.
So I'm actually going Diggs here. It's close. I just don't see a huge ceiling. Somehow I think there's more of a ceiling with Diggs than Huge.
Let me give you 2 more names. Zay Flowers, Stephon Diggs.
Zay Flowers for sure.
I'm
rising. I gotta be honest. I'm the guy that's higher on Zay Flowers.
Yeah, you were quick on that one. Look, he had a $124 last week, but he basically goosed the week before, and it's not been double-digit points really this entire season except for week 1. You remember that? We talked about that a couple weeks ago on the show when we were bringing up Flowers. I think this is the get bought for Flowers and Jackson this week against Cincinnati. I know you and I were talking last week in the text thread, I was asking, about am I really about to bench Lamar Jackson for Jared Goff, which I ended up doing. And Goff was okay, right?
5-point difference, I think.
Yeah, it wasn't much, but Goff at least got me a little bit higher, and I ended up winning by more.
The
than
rushing touchdown was the difference, and they haven't been coming. So outside of that, it was
right. But it was one of those conversations of like, this would never be a conversation a year ago. You would never be considering benching Lamar, and that's why I brought up Flowers. So let me give you one more name. If Rome is healthy, or is at least active, he was limited today in practice, would you play Steph Diggs or Rome?
Wow, that is right on the line. So let's say he's on the he's for sure playing healthy, right? Not a big deal. I'm going Rome in that standpoint because I at least have some ceiling. Where I don't really see that as much with Diggs. They can both have a similar type. Diggs I just see as like a 6 for 60 guy. Like he's like a good tight end. You know what I mean? Like Stephon Diggs is like a slightly better Dallas Goedert to me right now, if that kind of makes sense. Give me the guy that is going to get all the red zone targets plus could have a good game. I would probably go Rome there just for some upside.
Let's switch gears. Let's talk about 2 quarterbacks because people obviously in a super flex league have to start 2. Oh, we don't have to, but normally start 2. And look, it was. I saw now this is a single quarterback league, but I saw one of the teams who was a playoff team in a redraft league this week dropped him. I'm considering picking him up. I'm on the fence on it, but it's Justin Herbert.
Ooh, so I have a huge ownership share of Herbert,
and a lot of people do, right? But look, at Kansas City this week, difficult game. Chris Jones, game wrecker, in a game they have to win. Because Kansas City is eliminated, I think, mathematically if they lose. Dallas and then Houston. So not a great playoff schedule 2 of the next 3 weeks. Keep in mind it's at Kansas City, it's at Dallas, and then at home against Houston. Where are we with Justin Herbert in a super flex league? And let's just assume for conversation's sake you actually have a third quarterback where I'm not talking about Tyrod Taylor or some of these guys that you picked up off the street, but a legitimate third quarterback on your roster. Would you start Herbert or would you go? Let me try to grab a name.
I'm going to have this almost exact situation in at least a league or 2 for sure. I have so much Herbert. I guarantee you I have this situation.
Would you start Justin Herbert or Trevor Lawrence?
What's Lawrence's matchup again?
I think Jets.
Oh my God. That is home. Such a good matchup.
Yeah.
Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to go Trevor Lawrence there.
Bryce Young or Justin Herbert?
I have this actual decision in 2 leagues. Take this from the guy that's owned a lot of Bryce, a lot of Bryce too. I'm going to go Herbert there. I think Herbert actually played a much better football game than the stat sheet showed.
Yeah.
He's got a broken hand, and I like that he's still coaching staff said, you got to run. Sometimes it's better you can avoid a hit if you get runny. He played better than what actually happened. I think some of his rushing floor gives him enough, it's not fully matchup proof, but I actually, in that situation, I look at Herbert is the avoid disaster. Herbert's the at least 15 play where Bryce, sometimes when it's off the rails, it's Justin Fields bad. And the spread you can get on Bryce is just not quarterback worthy. There are a lot of skill position players I start over Bryce because I can't have you score 5 points and have me lose a matchup because you couldn't put up 15. I'm going to go Herbert there. The injury thing doesn't worry me. He's not playing on a Monday anymore. So I think you can lean a little bit more into it.
I'm struggling with Herbert because the volume has been so low, the passing volume, the last 3 weeks. And, it's concerning because Hampton is back, which is great, but that means that they can rush the ball, and if they're going to run the ball, I don't see the Chargers as a team against
they
Kansas
passed
City
it in the red zone with Hampton, though. That I think is the X factor. Is what if they can run the ball to get into a scoring opportunity, and they've got 600 weapons? How are you going to guard them all?
I'm with you. My challenge is this: I just don't see the Chargers being a 21-point plus kind of team every single week. Meaning, if there's only 1 or 2 touchdowns in the game, and Hampton or Vidal gets the rushing touchdown, or the defense gets a turnover for a score, there's just not enough points to go around, right? Like that's because their defense is competent. This isn't like, the Bengals who have to play defense by outscoring you, right? Like that's kind of what they're doing. So,
so I look at it like this. So when Bryce has a good game, it's almost weird, right? He can have a bad game against a good team. Bryce against a bad team, like my comparison with Bryce Young in particular, right, is that's a team that wins off of their defense and their running game. Bryce is never the comeback mechanism. Like there's very few games where, this is a game script where Bryce should throw a bunch and he's still bad. I at least like that Herbert in a bad game script, he's not as bad as it could be. So again, that's like what's grosser. That's really close. I've had it enough where Bryce doesn't look bad enough. Your take on Herbert is perfectly fair. I'm looking at Herbert as he's not a guy I want to play. I'll play him over a guy I can't trust, but that's the most upside I'll give him is he feels not as bad as someone I hate, which is not a good thing to say.
You use the perfect word for us to transition to this next quarterback. You said trust. Let me ask you this. If I told you that you had to play at Houston this week, but you were guaranteed as a fantasy manager to win, and you got Atlanta next week and then at Cincinnati in the semifinal and final of the fantasy playoffs, could I interest you in that quarterback based off that playoff schedule?
Yeah, I love that schedule.
It's Jacoby Brissett.
I like Jacoby a lot. I even like him in this ugly matchup. Tell you the truth, I don't hate it. There's something about like what are they gonna do if it goes bad? Not continue to throw the ball. They got one option.
My concern is that there's just not a lot of points in this game because Houston's offense isn't great either. I know the Cardinals defense sucks, but like my concern is that it could be 23-17 with one touchdown each and 3 field goals apiece. You know what I mean? To make up 9 points. So here's where I'm at with Brissett. This is why I put him in here because we just talked about, if you have 3 quarterbacks, and most people in a super flex league do have 3 quarterbacks, right? If you've got injuries, if you had Joe Burrow, he's back now, so maybe not the greatest example, but if you lost Michael Penix and you don't have Cousins and you were able to scoop Brissett off the wire, because I did in a super flex league, I imagine other folks did as well. How are you valuing Brissett? Is he someone that you were looking at as I'm going to play him or I'm going to look matchup dependent? Because if I have him, so I'll use my own team in this particular example. The Houston matchup scares me this week, but if I survive this week and get to the semifinal, I'm playing him against Atlanta and Cincinnati.
Oh yeah, easy. It's not a narrative I'm like strong on, right? But I think it's a real narrative. Okay. I'm out of all the weeks to be not as scared of Houston, this is a week where anybody who's watched sports and been on like the sports betting side of things, right, would see a sandwich game if there ever was one. Houston just had a very emotional game. It was big. It took a lot out of them, right? They're going to go, who are they playing now, right? It's not an exciting game. Do I think the defense thinks they have to give it their all to get a W? No. Do I think the Cardinals haven't given a shit for a while, but their players are like, Brissett's just having a good fucking time? Michael Wilson's like, I'm a football player. Let's go play football. This is one of those matchups where it's like, I don't think Houston cares as much as they should because they just beat the Chiefs. And I think the Cardinals are still football players and they want to do something. I'm not saying it's going to be a Rams Panthers game.
Yeah, that'd be
but nice. It doesn't have to not be.
Agreed. Well, let me give you some names. Justin Herbert or Jacoby Brissett.
Justin Herbert. The rushing gives him enough of a floor, even like in the red zone. There's enough of a 2-3 points a game on his legs, plus he's going to get a rushing touchdown once every 4 games or something like that. It's the odds say. So that's enough. That's enough for me.
Okay. I would take Brissett in that situation.
I had to think about it because can I say I almost snap said Brissett, but I had to really think about floor with Herbert a little bit. I'm going like overall offensive production on limited snaps. Brissett has to pass for 2 touchdowns, maybe 3. And I that might be a little more difficult. Come back to me in a couple days. I need Chat to ask me that on Friday because I could change my mind. But I'm going to go Herbert.
Let me give you one more name.
All right.
Jacoby Brissett, Sam Darnold.
What's the
before
Darnold
you
matchup?
and
Is
before
that
you
the matchup?
answer, Indianapolis at home, the Rams at home at Carolina.
Man, I've
So
been
it's not
pretty into Darnold.
It's not a cupcake. Now, no sauce, and I don't know who I just saw today, but another Colts defender just popped up on the injury report. I had like 2 minutes at lunch. I was just scrolling
Give me Darnold.
Instagram and
I'm gonna go Darnold. I'm giving Darnold a little extra lift this week because Rashid Shaheed just started getting dialed into the offense. I think he had 6 targets, 4 or 5 catches. He ran one back on special teams. The point is, if Rashid Shaheed is actually fully installed in the offense and understands what's happening, Darnold has such a sexy deep ball feel this year, and Shaheed is damn near nasty. He's one of the fastest players in the NFL. You get him involved and you have JSN, it's, there's some Christmas trees he could put up. I always thought they needed another weapon outside of JSN, and this weapon excels at big ADOT, so I'm in.
Sam Darnold or Jordan Love?
Sam Darnold, I still don't buy Green Bay's offense.
Yeah.
Everyone that keeps saying Jordan Love's elite, if you're using that based on his QBR and passer rating, it's easy when Christian Watson is doing what he's doing to have a high QBR. The throws aren't like ridiculously elite. It's a lot of yards after the catch. I think Jordan Love's playing good. He's not playing as good as the box scores are making him out to be. I'm watching all these games and I look at the stat sheet. I'm like, I watched the game. He was good, not great. He looks great in the stat sheet, but Christian Watson was the great player. Yeah, I'm going to fade Jordan Love a little bit.
Let's stay in the Pacific Northwest. Let's talk about this guy because it is question mark time for a lot of people. Kenneth Walker III.
Yeah.
My question isn't what do you do with him? My question is, can you play him with confidence?
Can't play him with confidence.
So what are you doing with him? Let's say that you have Bijan and you have Rico Dowdle.
Yeah, Dowdle easily.
And Kenneth Walker. Let's say that's your running back room because that could be your roster. That's a realistic. You've got an anchor guy. You spent up on, had the 101. You traded whatever you did. You've got a Bijan, a Gibbs, a CMC. You've got that archetype solidified, locked, and loaded. And let's insert RB2 here, right? It could be Javante's a bad example because he's having a great season, but like I'm thinking of guys that were like buried on your roster that you forgot about that have sprung back to relevance, which is why I went with Dowdle.
Honestly, he's closer to Dylan Sampson at this point. Dylan's doing it all through the catching. He literally gets 4 carries a game, but he's getting 5, 6 catches a game. He's lower than Devin Neal. Man, yeah, I'm gonna bury him with some names. What we've seen is he's definitely not the red zone guy anymore.
No.
Any random game he can kind of fall in the end zone, but the targets have also been way farther down. He's not needed in that area of the field as much. My whole Kenneth Walker take, even preseason, was you give me a running back who's talented and also catches the ball 4 or 5 times a game, like sign me up, right? He's not doing that.
Would you start KW3 or Isaiah Pacheco?
I'd still go KW3 because Pacheco has no red zone value or pass catching value. Pacheco's a worse Kenneth Walker.
Well, I agree with you, but I was trying to think of bottom of the barrel. Let me give you this one. Kenneth Walker or Kenneth Gainwell?
Oh, that's a great one. That's really good there. I'm going to go Gainwell.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Too. Which one has more likely to have a 20-point game?
Right. Here's one that I was thinking about earlier that's really irritating, but Nick Chubb is out, and I think out for the year.
Even if he's not out for the year, he's down to 5% snap share.
Right, and Ogunbowale got the touchdown the other day, but would you play Woody Marks or would you play Walker?
Woody Marks, snap share and total touches. He's been non-existent in the passing game despite the receiving touchdown, but he's basically been performing at his literal floor because it's been all rushing production and no PPR stats. Woody Marks is known as a pass catcher. I know he's not being used that way in the NFL, but that's actually his best skill set. He's supposed to be a scat sort of pass catching third down back. And now he's a first and second down bruiser. Don't ask me how that happened. We're having a Kenneth Walker conversation. So like, that's how we got here. I'm going Woody Marks. Like he's got to do a little bit better. The touchdowns just like have to come.
Last name, He's been trending towards playing. He had a full practice today, and it looks like he will play this weekend. Tyrone Tracy or Kenneth Walker?
Kenneth Walker, better offense. How many red zone trips are the running backs for the Giants going to have in general? All of their touchdowns might come from outside the 20-yard line. And if that's the case, it's unstartable across the board. I'm really leaning into Devin Singletary a lot. Team likes him. He's playing well. He's actually getting some targets too. So unfortunately, I can't go there.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. So CeeDee Lamb looking like he is going to play. I think it looks that way. He's got whatever. He's got a few things in the concussion protocol that he has to clean up, but it's trending like he's going to play.
No history of concussions, so that helps out a lot in their diagnosis and producing the protocol.
So let's spend 1 minute on this. If he doesn't, for any reason, and I don't think that this is the case, but if he doesn't, would you consider Ryan Flournoy at a flex?
I would.
If you lost CD and you did get Flournoy off of the waivers, because I think a lot of people did. I know a guy in my league who has CD spent up big. He had a bunch of fab left over, and I think he spent like $35-$40 on Flournoy, which, whatever, grab a guy. You know what I mean? What you saving the fab for at this point? There's 3 weeks left, and you could be out after this week. Season could be over, so get your guy.
I look at Flournoy in the same category as A.D. Mitchell and John Mechie, though. I look at them as you don't love this situation. You are choosing a interesting dice roll. If you're going to roll the dice, Dak, that defense that can stop the run but still not stop points from getting put on the board right now. I still like that if a team strategy is let's take away Pickens, or better strategy, let's try to piss Pickens off. Let's let's start chirping him in a way that gets to his head. You know what I mean? Let's start calling him by the wrong name on accident and just, screw with him. If that works, look, either Ferg's going to have a big game out of nowhere, and God, me and you would both love to see that, right? But if that's not the case, Dak is good enough that he can throw it and make somebody a superstar that day. I don't think Flournoy is anything special. I just think that can make it happen for him.
If you told me at the beginning of this year that we were going to spend 2 minutes talking about this next player, I would have told you that you were crazy.
I know where you're going with this one.
No possible way.
My favorite Catholic in the NFL, I'm guessing.
It would have been a 0.001% bet, and I would have taken the under. Is Phillip Rivers in a super flex league only? Is he worth rostering?
No. Oh, rostering?
Rostering.
Look, Dynasty, everyone's worth rostering. I had an opportunity to get Baker Mayfield for actual free. I was going to drop, and I'm like, I don't even want him on my team. That could have happened. I literally said no to Baker Mayfield when I thought he was out of the league. Always rosterable. And there's always like 2 or 3 names on your roster that, man, you really see the narrative, but dude, it's not going to happen. Just go with the more valuable position, right? Like, even if they're way outside the realm, I usually don't drop handcuff running backs because you never, ever know. You might need them for one game and it might happen, right? This is you can trade at any time of the year. I mean, things could happen. I would roster Phillip Rivers. If anything, here's where I wouldn't. If I could play anti-defense and leave him so that someone could pick him up with the intention of playing them, if I want to psych him out a little bit, maybe, but there's just no way I'm starting him because Indy's offense was way overperforming with Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
They're just not that good. Josh Downs is having a weird year. I still like him as a player, but without chemistry I don't know how that's going to go. Even our running game's a little bit weird. I don't see, he's not stepping into a good offense that just needs him. He's stepping into a situation that wasn't good, and he hasn't played in like 4 or 5 years. It would be an absolute miracle if he has a huge game, but he would need to have some crazy deep ball. Right? He would need to have a long touchdown Alec Pierce. Otherwise, Jonathan Taylor is going to have the game, and there's no way that you're going to throw it in the red zone when you can just do Jonathan Taylor, right? So
no,
I don't know.
I don't. So I don't want to say this person's name, but I snuck into the playoffs in a 12-team league. I think I'm like the 6th seed, which was actually a bummer because I would have had the 103. If I hadn't made the playoffs.
Yeah.
But I snuck in, and so I've got Justin Herbert on this roster, Flacco, Jameis Winston, Kirk Cousins. I just don't have a great quarterback room. And I put in a bid last night. I was like, I'll just throw $12 on Rivers and just whatever. Worst case, I don't get him. Best case, I at least have a healthy body if I get through this week and I lose a quarterback. Somebody spent $80. Now, again, get your guy, right? You could be out of the playoffs this week.
End of the season, you haven't used
Yeah,
it.
I'm not beguiling him for, spending $80, but I just don't see how this works. I mean, the guy was literally on the couch last week. You know what I mean? Like, this isn't like someone who's been working out and playing and waiting for their shot.
Has he passed his physical?
I have no idea. I don't even know if he's going to be eligible to. I mean, at this point, like, I have to imagine that they wouldn't have signed him if they weren't planning to play him this weekend. I think he's playing. That's the crazy part. Like, I don't see. They need an emergency quarterback, right? I think as of right now, today, Tyler Warren is technically the emergency quarterback.
Yes,
too.
he is. That would add to his thing.
Yeah. But like, if Riley Leonard can't go, I think you're going to see Philip Rivers start on Sunday, and I don't really know how that's going to go. Like, Seattle's going to win that game. It's in Seattle. It's going to rain. 12th man. The noise is crazy. I just I hope he doesn't get hurt. You know what I mean? Like, I physically hope like he doesn't his body can just hang for 60 minutes of football. So speaking of players coming off of injury, not off the couch, but guys that also need to get some reps because he has not played football. Let's talk about him because you may not have a choice, but it's Dalton Kincaid. He's been banged up. He's been into the lineup. He's been out of the lineup. When he's been in there, it's been spike weeks or feast or famine, basically. I mean, it's either been hot or freezing cold. It looks like he's practicing, and it looks like he's playing this week at New England with the division championship basically on the line. It is the championship of the division this week if New England wins. At New England, at Cleveland, home against Philly. Like, Buffalo's schedule to end the season is rough.
Leading to some good games, though, man.
So let me give you this question then. If Kincaid is in there, I assume you're just going to start him because of the scarcity of the tight end position. Are we in agreement on that?
I'm pretty aggro on Kincaid when he's healthy. So I'm gonna be the guy that's high on Kincaid if you want to throw a test out there. I've got him over Monty, over Xavier Worthy this week. These are real start sit decisions.
Kincaid over those receiver and a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I mean, here's the thing. It's he makes that receiver room work. He's basically still their wide receiver one. I watched this last game pretty closely. Cincinnati, one of the worst historically against the tight end, but it was a really banged up Kincaid that we were like near game time decision on, right? Comes in, I think he's 5 targets, 4 catches. I don't have the stats pulled up. I have him in a lot of leagues, right? I don't think it was good yardage, but he ended up getting the touchdown. It was like 15 tight end premium points. It was pretty good. But it was just he just is their red zone. He's their third down guy. You look at his first read percentage, it's off the charts when he's healthy. Josh Allen is playing out of his mind. Their defense is not handling it. I mean, they're letting all kinds of teams put up points on them. Josh Allen's having to do like 50-point fantasy games every other week at a minimum. I just think with the way he's playing in that offense, right? Similar to I'm trying to forget the tight end for Cincinnati right now. Actually, kind of like Gesicki. Like him a little bit. Yeah. Just because Joe Burrow's down weapons, Gesicki had a crazy game. I think it was 6 for 6 plus a tutty. I look at Kincaid as when he's healthy and playing, he's just such a big part of that offense. The offense was broken earlier in the year, though. They weren't putting up a crazy amount of points. Josh Allen was not the box score wonder. Now that he's putting up 40 a game and they have everything to play for, you give me at worst, he's the second read in that offense. In a Josh Allen-led offense where every game matters and their defense is broken, mathematically, I just have to put him in because I don't look at him as a tight end. I look at him as a very high-leverage offensive player. Low targets, high touchdown. Basically, he's a better Mark Andrews is kind of how I see him.
Well, so that's perfect because if you're this high on him, I was going to go down, but now I'm going to go up. Would you take Mark Andrews or would you take Kincaid?
Yeah, that's how spicy I am. I take Kincaid.
All right.
Even this is saying like I think Andrews scores a touchdown this weekend. I just think Andrews will not hit above 40 yards basically the rest of the season. So you give me Kincaid.
Hunter Henry, Dalton Kincaid.
Hunter Henry. I really like Hunter Henry. I like that offense. I like who he is in that offense. It's hard to get me off Hunter Henry. I haven't done my homework on this one, if I'm being honest. I don't have them in any leagues together, so I have not had to make this call. I don't have rankings. I'd have to look again. For me, it's razor thin is the best thing I can really say. If I had really had to flip it, it's probably go with the healthier player.
All right, let me give you two more. It's possible that there are rosters that look like this because of the age difference. Kincaid or Kelsey?
I want to hate on Kelsey so much, but
Kelsey's
must win for both of them.
Yep.
I'm so close to Kincaid here. I'm so close to like dude, it's been over for Kelsey for a minute. But if he's going to go out, he's going to go out swinging, and so is Mahomes. Give me Kelsey. That narrative is just too like, he's going to go out throwing to his guy. He's not going to go out throwing to Worthy, right? This is not how it's going to go.
Let me give you one other name. Kincaid or Harold Fannin?
I'm going to stay in the Flames with Fannin. Fannin is a better Kincaid because he is the weapon in offense. Now, a much worse offense, but Kincaid's not getting 10 targets because Josh Allen's really spreading the ball around. The amount of he's doing the same thing in the NFL that he freaking did in college, and I still don't understand it. His production in Bowling Green it made no sense. He's still doing it though. How a tight end walks in as a rookie and just gets like 10 targets. Yeah. We're not talking about Fannin in the same realm as Loveland and Warren. I kind of think we need to start that conversation though. He needs to start rising up dynasty boards.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting offseason, right? Like Tyler Warren, to me, of course, has solidified this tight end one that we thought he was. But like, what is Loveland next season? He had some flashes this year. Is Cole Kmet really like Cole Kmet's, I think, under contract. So we'll get to that. I want to ask you about this next guy because this one is at the beginning of the season. This question would have been unfathomable.
Oh,
this is how things change, and this is how quickly they can change.
I've done some homework on this one too. I'm as researched on this one as it gets at this point.
In the last 4 weeks, he has not eclipsed double-digit fantasy points. He hasn't scored a touchdown in the last 5 weeks. His schedule is at home against Atlanta, at Carolina, at Miami. So very favorable playoff schedule. But Mike Evans is coming back. His practice window has been opened up. Chris Godwin is there. Bucky is back. Rashad White is in a uniform.
Actually looks good. Better
looked okay.
Carey last week, actually.
Kate Otten is there.
Out this week, though.
Is right, but my point being is they have weapon. Is Emeka Egbuka a trap?
No, he's less of a trap now. I need to give full credit where credit is due. This is not a show. When I say I do my homework, I didn't like go to the paid sites and do all my own homework. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I go to all the smartest people and I watch every show and I stay up late and I do the thing. And my own brand is all about, watching everything and then telling you what I like and dislike. Andy Holloway, good buddy. Fantasy footballers went deep on this one. He's big Egbuka guy. His homework, just honestly, I always say watch their show too. Awesome guys. He went deep on this one. And I had to I legitimately wrote down some statistics from what he was saying. So I'm like, I need to actually look this up. This is crazy. So he's basically leading the league in uncatchable targets. I'm going to misquote him 100 times, so I'm just going to speed run and get to the point. The point is he's leading the league in uncatchable targets. About 50% of his targets are uncatchable. Half the balls that go his way, he had no chance to catch. The problem is we would see that, but he's also had a drop or two, and he's not been playing good on the balls that do go his way. So it's this combination of, it's a quarterback trying to get on the ball issue. He's also not doing well with it. This feeds into my narrative that some players aren't ready to be wide receiver one, or that's just not their role. And he has a history of being an insane role player at Ohio State because he's surrounded by amazing weapons. And he found a niche skill set being like, when defense has to worry about everybody, I'm smart. I know how to make this work. As a 2, he lit the world on fire and faster than any rookie I've ever seen, right? I mean, just day one, we didn't know how much of a snap share he'd get earlier in the season, right? And with a 50% snap share, did all that, right? So 2 things here. 1, Evans coming back and being the one is amazing for him. This is the juju, but give him AB back. This is just a better for the offense, way better for him. The types of routes he can run, the position he can be on the field is significantly better. But the reasons he's been bad has been a little bit him. I have to put some of it on him. Egbuka, I love you, but you dropped a pass or two. It hasn't looked as good. The routes haven't been as unbeatably crisp as we need them to be, but he is suffering from a Baker running from his life with a bad offensive line that can't stop a pass rush, and he's having to rush throws to the only guy that he has to throw to, right? That shouldn't work for anybody in the NFL, to be honest. A.J. Brown the other day had more catchable targets and dropped them than Egbuka's had, right? So we got to treat everyone the same here. I'm going to keep starting him because I haven't found a plausible reason that I shouldn't, and Evans back gives me even more confidence to start him. Where I would have is Evans wasn't back. He can't be the one and have these uncatchable targets. He just can't function as the one in that offense. Everyone around him gets to eat because he's more of the decoy at that point that shouldn't be getting targets. Evan back, sign me up.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this is the challenge, and the reason I brought him up really is because it's been poor, but it's a Thursday night game. Game's tomorrow night, so you gotta plant your flag, right?
No Otten though, right? I mean, no Otten plus Evans back.
I'll double check on
Otten's for sure already confirmed out.
Yeah.
Because I knew this was going to come up today. I did a little bit of pre-work, and everyone's been hitting me in the Discord about Egbuka. I've had 7 or 8 private messages on Egbuka. I did not know that he was a guy I was super researched on, but I was fully ready to find an I'm off Egbuka this week, and just everything came up for him. Evans is healthy and going to play, and there's no Otten, and everyone else is back. And they lost last week, so they actually really need to get their shit straight, right?
Yeah, Evans is still questionable. Otten is doubtful. Looks like he's out, but
he's listed as doubtful and sleeper. But the news came through; he's confirmed out.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, I mean, I think you just have to plant your flag. I think you just have to say, Egbuka, I'm going to ride with you. I mean, look, it's Atlanta. You know what I mean? Like last year, what was it? Kirk Cousins came in 500 yards, broke the franchise record, and then lost his job 6 weeks later. You know what I mean? So we've seen shootouts from these teams before. I think it's reasonable that if Evans is back, that opens up some targets for Egbuka, and if it doesn't, at least it maybe draws a little bit of attention, even if Evans is playing at half speed. So
are you pretty in on him, compared to where you think the market's at? Are you pro or?
I'm playing him, but
neutral?
I'm playing him for 2 reasons. Number one, it's the ceiling that I know I can get versus another player, and if I don't get it, I'm probably getting the same floor as I would with Matthew Golden or Luther Burden or what I mean, somebody else that you might have to throw in there.
You want to play the game here?
Yeah, let's play.
I'm not even looking at a list. I just off the top of my head thinking dynasty brain here. All right.
Yeah.
We talked about on top of the show, Egbuka or Michael Wilson.
I would play Wilson.
I keep thinking in my head that's closer than I want it to be.
That answer doesn't make sense.
I am going Wilson.
It doesn't make sense. It shouldn't be the answer, but it's the answer.
That's almost a comeback. I've got to that's the flag plant question though. If you're willing to start Egbuka over Wilson, you are really staying there. I'm close.
Here's why I'm willing to start Wilson. 18 targets, 15 targets, 7 targets, 16 targets.
Catchable targets.
So it's I'm not long term, it's Egbuka, and it's not even a conversation to be had. But for this week, this is a 1 week, everybody now is in a 1 week season. That's what's left of fantasy football. You're in a 1 week season. I'm playing the player that I believe gives me the best opportunity to win. I'm playing for ceiling, but in this particular instance, I'm actually playing for the floor because I think Wilson has the higher floor. If both of them were created equal and neither one catches a touchdown, Wilson should outscore Egbuka because of the targets and then the associated yards that go with that. So that's why
I'd play Egbuka. Well, I'm even going to answer the question because I don't want to because it's gross, but I'm going to make you do it because it's more fun to do it that way. I see why you ask me the questions because it just puts me in a freaking blender. Egbuka or Lad McConkey, who is suffering a very similar what the actual hell hole.
I would take.
He caught one pass.
That one. I would take Egbuka. I mean, Herbert's banged up. The offensive line is rough. You know what I mean? At what did we say the schedule was? At Kansas City, at Houston, at Denver, or something
it's
like
just all
that.
bad, yeah.
So give me that one. I'll take Ibuka over Ladd.
All right, we'll see. I'm always fun. It's always fun to do our show doing it Wednesday instead of a Tuesday, but seeing what takes change for me by Friday.
Well, let's see what changes here, because as of right now, today, give me 1 second. I need to pull it. Mr. Odunze is limited and questionable to play.
Yeah. Limited on Wednesday is a great sign, though.
It is. But let's just, for the sake of conversation, say he doesn't play. Would you flex Luther Burden?
Yeah. Yeah, I would, man. I mean, I like me some Luther Burden. It also it doesn't hurt that like DJ Moore can't get his shit straight. It feels like this week's gonna be like okay, DJ Moore will figure out a way to get you the ball because Ben Johnson is a good head coach and he's just going to figure out how to make people not hate each other and have a poopy face. He's like a good dad. But Luther Burden was always a player that I think me and you looked at him like similar in the same, actually a tier higher than Jaden Higgins in terms of when this guy gets going in this offense. It might take a long time, but if and when he does, like, we knew this guy out of high school. He's lethal. He's good. He likes football. He's got the coach that can unlock it. There's a lot of ways this guy can put points on the board. The only thing that worries me is our passing offense is kind of broken, and I have hope for it to be better, but I don't think Caleb is going to be the guy to make Luther Burden a thing outside of a big play right away. There's just not enough targets.
That's the only way I see it. I mean, look, home against Cleveland, home against Green Bay, at San Francisco.
That pass rush. I mean, Caleb's going to get sacked 5 times.
I think Chicago has probably one of the worst fantasy playoff schedules that you can have. It is brutal. So.
I think we're going to find a way to win from an NFL standpoint, but I don't.
Yeah, I think you'll win. I think you'll win the.
I think we're going to kick some field goals. Monungai is going to rush in a few. Caleb's going to have to do some crazy evade a tackle and run for a 9-yard rush that makes it feel like 20. But it's going to be like for fantasy box scores, it's going to be like this is miserable. Great football to watch, not going to be fantasy friendly. I don't think.
Yeah,
I like Loveland. Like I said this on last Friday. I think it was last Friday. I said. With that was based on the Rome injury. Let's say that happens again or other injuries happen. I think the offense currently is set up to be more pro Loveland than Burden. If I have to pick a breakout,
let's we're gonna wrap the show here. I've got one more to do and then a question in the chat. You added this one and I want to talk about this here. Maybe I added it. Doesn't really matter. Kamani Vidal and Amari Hampton. I said 2 weeks ago, if you're sitting there thinking that Hampton is the savior of your fantasy playoffs, you got him back, that you're pure gold. I still don't know that that's wrong. He scored the touchdown last week, but if he doesn't score that touchdown, he has a 7-point day.
Yeah.
It's not a great day. Now, here's what I'm considering.
It's a good NFL day, though.
It's good NFL day.
Watching the game, he did what he needed to do when he was asked to do it. And that touchdown, I just gotta say, he looked like that was not his first game. You know, when he caught that touchdown, he was in the end zone before I saw him in the end zone. And the guy that threw the pass knew that guy has never dropped a pass in practice. He's walking in. The confidence off of he hasn't played with us in a while to give him a pass like that that made me think like, oh shit, okay, he's about to own the red zone.
So here's where I'm at with Hampton. Number one, he looked good. He was explosive at times. He wasn't full speed, but like he looked like he had a little bit of burst, right? The ankle wasn't. He was able to cut. He had some good strong runs. Cuts looked good. Yeah. So like I'm excited by that. 31% of snaps. I'm excited that should go up as they ramp him up. I do think Vidal's going to continue to mix in.
You'd be terrified if it was 60 and he still put up 10 points, right? You want that to be a tiny number.
I'm concerned this week because it's Kansas City and it's Chris Jones, but at Dallas next week, home against Houston. So here's where I'm at with Hampton, then I'll let you kind of talk through it. I'm flexing him because I just don't think there's anybody on a Dynasty roster that I have that's a better option, number one. And number two, he scored last week and he represents the best opportunity in a flex position, most likely to actually get you a touchdown. And so I think that's where I'm at with him. But I'm also just, again, going to stay with what I said last week, which is like, he's not just going to be this 30-point guy, unless he breaks off 2 huge ones, right? But like, he's not going to score 30 points. It's not going to be a McCaffrey type workload, right? At the end of the day, I am excited to have him back because I have him in some places where I'm in the playoffs and I'm stoked to put him in there. But I'm also tempering my expectations. Is that kind of where you are? Or are you like, Hampton's back, he's the guy, plug and play, he's going to get me 17 points, 20 points?
If I could have a mixed take, it would. I'm somewhere between temper expectations a little bit, but also like I'd take him straight up over Genty if you got to have me bet, right? Like, here's the thing. The offensive, it's my favorite term. Not enough offenses do it. My 4-year-old will probably tell you if there's one thing daddy does when watching football, it's yell at stupid quarterbacks for not taking the check down. And then later on being like, you see what happened when you check it down? Oh, Jahmyr Gibbs runs for 20. Oh, Bucky Irving runs for a 20-yard touchdown. Like, why are we doing the like hand it and then make him run against 11 people or give him the ball in space and see how he is in a one-on-one matchup? Like, what? I don't understand. What are we doing? Why do quarterbacks hate the running back? I don't get it.
I know.
Hampton, for me, the Lions beat up. Vidal is not. He's never been known as a pass catcher. Okay, I was very big. Anybody who watches, if you're a big best ball guy, a big underdog, friends of the show, sponsors the show.
Yep.
If you guys watch, you watch the Ship Chasers. They're big. The quintessential DFS bros, best ball bros, right? They were huge on Kamani Vidal, and I was a big fan of them. So I really, really got into Vidal. His prospect profile is he doesn't catch passes. Like, that's not his thing. It's not his speed. He was supposed to be a straight up Nick Chubb bruiser. So what Ryan Hampton brings is a prototypical big athlete, an athlete that's good enough that he can handle contact with contact balance and keep going, but he can also catch passes at an elite rate. They have a banged-up offensive line and 200 weapons that need to be accounted for at the line of scrimmage. Hampton, I think, is going to walk into 4 to 6 targets per game easy, like what Walker was doing last season or the beginning of this season. 5 targets for 4 catches for 30 yards is such a cheat code as a baseline stat. And this is a guy that I think is going to average 4.5 yards a carry for a minute on a team that wants to run the ball. So you're telling me I can get 60 rushing yards off of him for sure, and then I can definitely get 6 points in the passing game, like for sure. We're talking about a 12-point floor when he doesn't fall into the end zone. That's really how I see him. I think there's so many ways, particularly in the passing game, that he's going to pad his fantasy stats, plus elite red zone usage, however you want to slice it. I'm giving a lot of takes that make you think, oh, I'm fully steamed up on him. I'm really just saying he's used in so many ways, and from a real NFL standpoint, he's so useful to the team that's going to translate into a very nice fantasy floor. I'm tempering expectations on the Travion Henderson ceiling. I don't think that is as in play, but the floor is absolutely there, and I feel very good about it.
Agreed. Let's got 2 questions in the chat here. That's how we'll wrap the show tonight. From Bryce Duard, apologies if I butchered your name, 4768. Should I start Lamar Jackson or Drake May? That's a pretty easy one for me, Kendall. I'm on the May side.
Yeah, Drake May. Yeah, me, man. My hottest take was, why are we doing the JJ McCarthy thing? Drake May is so much better. And
I've been pretty pleased the fact that I didn't grab any shares of JJ McCarthy and took all of my shares of Drake May. So that's been great. The more important question here for Bryce is Monty or Cortland Sutton. And I do want to spend a minute on that one. That was a quick answer.
Easy, Cortland Sutton.
I'm also on the Cortland Sutton side, but only because Gibbs has just been so freaking good. I just want to pull Sutton. Yeah, Sutton's floor is higher. It's been okay. Green Bay, Jacksonville, Kansas City. So for the playoffs, give me Cortland Sutton.
Close game, ugly game. Sutton has the 10 targets, and a guy I was rising on, Troy Franklin, just nowhere. Just tells me if they're ever forcing targets, it's always going Cortland's way.
Yeah,
you might not agree with it, right? But that's kind of what does it for me, is the team clearly has that. And Monty is somehow startable on like a 30% snap share right now. It's huge credit to Monty, but like, dude, he's not touching it enough.
Well, I assume you saw my trade in the Hall of Fame league this week. I traded for Devontae Adams because I didn't want to play Cortland Sutton.
I sent him like 12 trade offers immediately after just because I was upset about it.
Yeah, and I also have to compete with you because your ceiling is the only ceiling in the league that's higher than mine, and I'm needing to get some more touchdowns in the team. So, yeah, I didn't want to deal with it. So appreciate you, Devontae. Keep doing what you've been doing, man.
I hope it works is the sad part, man. Like, if you beat me with that play, how can I be angry? Because it's what I'm preaching to everybody else is like, this is how you win a title this year.
This is, I mean, the other thing is that for those that are paying attention, like it was my second and your second, and we're both in the playoffs. It's only 4 teams, so they're already the last 4 of the second round anyway. And if we reach the final and play,
we are reaching. My team's putting up 180 a week at this point.
Yeah.
It's fucking disgusting. Your team can put up 2 on any given week. It's gonna be a fun final, honestly. I want to get a little hammered and call you out.
We got to get there first, but we'll see. We still have 1 more week of the regular season to go, and then week 16, 17. So for Kenny Statrill, we'll wrap the show with this. Would you start Trevor Lawrence versus the Jets or Mahomes versus Denver? It is a full PPR, which doesn't matter for the quarterbacks. If you're in the chat, man, I'd actually love to know if it's 4 or 6 point. That makes a big difference for the quarterbacks rather than the scoring format PPR. So if you're in the chat, throw that in there.
Interesting. Phil,
let's just say, Kendall, for the sake of the question, that it's 6. Let's just do both sides. Let's do the 4 and the 6.
So this is just what hit me. I don't want to go too long as we're wrapping the show, but what quarterback do you see as a better rushing quarterback? Because I think it's Mahomes.
Yeah, it's 6, he says. I have a hard time starting Trevor Lawrence. I get the matchup. I do. I get it. It's the Jets. They suck. Trevor Lawrence has been okay, and Mahomes has been bad. Like, that's it. The fact that I appreciate the question, because the fact that we're even having to sit here and discuss it tells you how far Mahomes has fallen and how. No, I'm not talking about in his career. I'm just talking about this season.
Yeah, just like now.
He was a quarterback 1 at one point during the season. He was the QB1. And right now it's like, I mean, I got to pull him. I have him here in a league, so I'll pull this league real quick.
I'm just curious where ECR is at too.
He's the QB2 on the season, but like 9 points last week. 9. 37 against Dallas, 18 against Indy, 16 against Denver, bye week, 11 against Buffalo. Man, those were 3 really tough weeks. He's completing like 50% of his passes. The ball's wobbling. I'm going to start Mahomes. They're playing the Chargers, and they're at
I was going to say, that's what I was checking too.
That's what I want to do.
It's not versus Denver, though. This is versus the Chargers, right?
Correct.
I was just looking at Denver, and I'm like, why does that feel weird? The Chargers are good, but they're beatable. They're a smart defense. I don't know that they're a complete defense. T-Law has the dream matchup, and BTJ is getting better. So my challenge is, I liked what I saw last week. I liked that BTJ caught some sick balls, and it looks like he's back on track, and the offense might be back on track. And a lot of the touchdowns were still on the ground too. Like, there's more room to get better there. Man,
here's my thing. Indy,
brutal one.
If Riley Leonard can't play, and it looks like he can't, Indianapolis is going to lose to Seattle, which gives them 8 wins. Baltimore plays Cincinnati. If Cincinnati wins, Baltimore stays at 6 wins. If the Chiefs beat the Chargers, the Chiefs go to 7 wins. They would vault the Ravens. We'll see what happens with the Texans. The Bills are playing the Patriots, and both of them are ahead, and one of them's going to lose. So basically, Kansas City has to win out. They're at home. The Chargers can score. I don't know. I mean, we've seen the Jets score and win games, and we've seen the Jets shit the bed. I don't know which version of the Jets you're going to get this week. You just don't know. So I
think I know what I would do. I just don't know if it's a good analyst answer. Because like my answer straight up is, I need to know how I'm going to sleep at the end of this. And if I start Trevor Lawrence over Patrick Mahomes, and Trevor Lawrence does a Trevor Lawrence thing, like it's going to be hard for me to go to work the next day. You know, where if I say Mahomes, it's a must play good situation. You have no run game, so where else is it coming from? I'm expecting a decent game to a good game, right? I don't even need a world-beating game, but I don't expect a bad game. There's no way, like a bad game is out of the question for you. If Mahomes has a good game, but T-Law blows up, I'm fine, right? It's like I absorb some of that risk. If Mahomes has a terrible game and T-Law has a good game, I can live with that outcome more than I started T-Law, he had 12 fantasy points, Mahomes had 28, and I lost because somehow I didn't like Patrick. It's just one of those, like, I'm just going to bet on talent when it comes down to a one game, no sample. And I'm not, sometimes I think we overestimate. Defenses are really good, but they can be swingy from time to time. This is a pretty real defense, but I don't look at the Chargers as phrased in the question, Denver. Houston and Seattle are real. Those are oppressive. Literally everyone else in the league, the Steelers are the highest paid defense. I don't look at them the same way. The Chargers are pretty nice. I don't look at them the same way. Yeah. Unless you're Houston Seahawks are pretty close for me. I'm just going to go with a guy that needs to win and is great. And that has no run game. I mean, there's honestly a lot of factors that say Mahomes should be better.
And there was a bunch of drop passes last week. I mean, Rice got lit up. Kelsey dropped 2 of them, one for the interception.
Yeah, Rice almost died. I mean,
he did. Yeah. I'm going to take Mahomes. It's disgusting that we even had to answer that, but it's a fair question. I'm not upset with Kenny for asking it. I'm just more saying the fact that Mahomes has been so inconsistent. Yeah. Trevor's been kind of 20, 23 points. Like sometimes that's just what you need. So, but again, play to win. You're playing for the ceiling. It's a bounce back. Give me Mahomes. So that's going to do it for us here tonight. Good luck to everybody in the playoffs. It is a Wednesday night, which means football is tomorrow. Normally we do the show on a Tuesday, give ourselves that extra day, but it is Thursday night football, week 15, start of the playoffs. If you are in that 3-4-5-6 range, good luck. If you are in the 1-2, hopefully this is the week your team just poo-poos and saves it all for next 2 weeks. We'll be back next Tuesday for a quick show. I'm getting on an airplane Wednesday to go for Christmas, so we'll just squeeze in one more show and get everybody playoff ready for the semifinals and finals, and then we want to hear about all of your championships that you are taking home. So for everybody here at the Get Right Fantasy Network, for myself, host of The Extra Point, my guy Kendall, as always, thanks for hanging out with us. Have a great night. We out.
Right fantasy is the play. Marking nothing but I tune every Friday. Strategies provided.